Hello, all my Gamerbacks. Welcome back to the Gamerback podcast, where I will Gamerback my Gamerback. So, it is no secret that I, PJ, am a wrestling fan, and I don't really like to put too many wrestling videos out in a short period of time, mostly because wrestling is just like a very ever changing industry and ever changing, business. And a lot of times I feel that like when someone makes a video on wrestling that I watch, or even when I talk about wrestling, the very next day, everything that you talked about could be outdated. So that's why I don't make more wrestling stuff, and I usually keep opinions to myself. Where if I have an interesting like fan prediction, I don't really make it unless it's a big show like WrestleMania or it's one of my like few times I do one of my wrestling check-ins. However, I come to you today with not one but two predictions that I think are hard to mess with, if that makes sense. So we'll keep this one a little bit shorter, and I just have my spreadsheet pulled up here. Excuse me, to just as like some background imagery because I don't edit videos. Normalize not editing videos. I think that should be a thing. Anyway, my first prediction has to do with this man right here, Big E, who is one of my favorite wrestlers, or at least was when he was still wrestling. I went to Survivor Series 2021, basically not just to see him, but majority of reason to see him wrestle Roman Reigns in the main event, which he did, and he actually lost, but whatever. We'll talk about that. But it's still cool to see him as a world champion right before he got injured, nonetheless. And he's been gone for about 2 years at this point. Probably a little under 2 years, but it'll be pushing 2 years once we get closer to WrestleMania. And I think that I'm not sure. This isn't exactly a WrestleMania prediction, more of a Royal Rumble prediction. But I think the direction that well, let me backtrack a few steps. Gunther is a man who has set records and has just been one of the best wrestlers in the past couple of years. And he's one of my favorite wrestlers, and he's pretty awesome. And the question kind of arises: who should beat Gunther? You know, because he's not really becoming that Roman Reigns yet, where like he's just fought everybody and beat everybody. Where Roman Reigns, you can count the number of people he hasn't beat on the roster on like one hand. But he's kind of becoming that. I think you got to solve that problem before it becomes that problem. Because he's beat Drew McIntyre, so you don't want to see that again. He's beat Sheamus, and they've had like a million fights back and forth, so you don't really want to see that again. Unfortunately, Chad Gable was my pick to beat him, but they pulled that trigger and they missed. So, you know, and because of the law of diminishing returns, I kind of want to see that again. I know a lot of people do want to see Chad, work his way back up the mountain to challenge Gunther. But I think the time has come and gone. If they wanted to do that, they shouldn't have done it before. Could they still do that? Absolutely, definitely. Would it appeal to me? It probably still would appeal to me, just not as much as a returning Big E. So here's my issue with Big E, right? He gets injured. He's gone for a real long time. People there's kind of some people talking about, oh, will he come back during the 2024 Royal Rumble? And originally I was saying no. He needs to, because here's the issue. If Big E comes back, he should be treated as a main eventer. And right now the main event scene is just so polluted in a good way because you have Roman Reigns, you have Drew McIntyre, you have Cody Rhodes, you have CM Punk, you have Seth Rollins, you have, potentially a debuting MJF at the Royal Rumble, which is not going to happen. But that's always a thing that's there. Not to mention Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair's injured, but Nia Jax. Those are all main events on the women's side that can easily take a main event of a show. And if Big E comes back, I think he not only deserves, but should be just inserted directly into a main event picture. And obviously, the problem is the world title picture. Everyone's talking about, oh, The Rock versus Roman, Roman versus Cody, or Seth versus CM Punk, or Seth versus Drew McIntyre. There's all that discussion. And if Big E shows up now, I think there's too many people involved to put him into a world title picture. But thankfully, what I didn't realize, and I kind of forgot about, is Gunther exists. Gunther is a main event player without a world title. And right now he's been on an undefeated streak, and he's been unstoppable. And I think Big E is the perfect man to dethrone Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. That's what I think. Because Big E deserves a push, not only because he got robbed of his world title 2 years ago, because he also got injured and he didn't deserve to have 2 years taken away from his entire career. So that way, when he does come back, he deserves to just get everything that he missed out on, if that makes sense. That being, and by beating Gunther, he regains all of that instantly. Because Gunther is basically looked at as the most dominant champion in WWE right now. Seth Rollins only has titles since May. Still, it's a world title, so like theoretically it ranks above the Intercontinental title, but it hasn't been around long enough. And Roman Reigns, he wrestles 3 times a year. Gunther wrestles, the appropriate amount of time as a champion. He's had a very lengthy title reign, a very lengthy undefeated streak. He has all the correct, the formula is correct to push whoever beats him to the moon, and that should be Big E. People say, oh, it should be what's his face from NXT, Ilja Dragunov or whatever. Which, yeah, but they fought before. We've seen that. Big E versus Gunther will be something fresh. And right now, the New Day and Imperium are currently at this blood feud where Kofi Kingston injured Giovanni Vinci. So Ludwig is going on a tear, beating the rest of them. And I think what should happen is Imperium, or the remaining members of Imperium, aka Gunther and Ludwig, should just beat the hell out of New Day. The remaining members of New Day, being Kofi and Xavier. At the Royal Rumble, you know, you have Gunther in the match, you have New Day in the match, and Gunther's taking the town, and they can't beat Gunther. They can't do it. Gunther's about to throw him out, and that's when we get the last theme song hit. It's a New Day, and Big E returns, throws Gunther out, and that sets up for the Intercontinental title feud. Whether it be at WrestleMania, whether it be at Elimination Chamber, I don't care. I want to see it. What I think it would be better at WrestleMania. But the thing is, you'd have to stretch it out even further. Which the thing is, because you have 3 people on each side, you can do a tag match, then you can do a 3-man tag match, and then you can do Gunther versus Big E round 1, and have Gunther, cheat and get DQ'd or something, or in Champions advantage so he retains. Some nonsense can happen, and then you can do round 4 at Mania, where Big E finally beats Gunther. I think that's what we're going. I not only do I think that's what I want, I think that's what's going to happen. Because I've been watching Raw, I've been thinking to myself, damn, this New Day Imperium stuff has been really good, but where are they going with it? Because I don't think Kofi could beat Gunther because he's already lost to Gunther. I don't think Xavier could beat Gunther because I love Xavier Woods, but he just lost to Ludwig Kaiser, so there's the problem there. But who can beat Gunther? Big E, a returning, stronger, healthier Big E can beat Gunther. So I think that's my first theory, my first conspiracy theory, if you will. So I genuinely do think that's where they're heading. I think we might get Jey Uso versus Gunther before that. But Jey Uso, he can beat Gunther. That would be kind of cool. But the thing is, he can't walk into WrestleMania with the title because they want to do Uso versus Uso, and I think it's better without a title. So as long as no one beats Gunther in between now and WrestleMania, Big E is reserved to take that spot, which I think would be really cool. Anyway, let's move on to let's see. Do I have a picture? No, I don't. We'll just Oh, I do. Rhea Ripley. There we go. I want to talk about the Judgment Day. Making sure I'm recording here. Anyway, Judgment Day has been my favorite faction in WWE. Basically, I've supported them since they debuted with Edge when it was just Damian Priest and Edge. Number one, I'm a massive, massive, massive Damian Priest fan. Damian Priest right now is my favorite wrestler, and overall is probably my second favorite wrestler after Sami Zayn. But Sammy, he's just been, he's been on break, so I don't really want to say he's my favorite wrestler because he hasn't been around. But right now on TV, Damian Priest is my favorite wrestler, and I've always liked him. He's literally been the first live wrestling match I've ever seen with Damian Priest. He's from New York, and I'm from New York, so gotta support the fellow New Yorker, and he's just awesome. And so that's kind of why I supported Judgment Day from the inception because Damian Priest was always involved. And Rhea Ripley was always my favorite women's wrestler. So then she got involved. I was like, oh, this is even better. I also used to be a pretty big edgehead. So even though they were like cutting weird promos and whatever, and just being weirdos in general, they were having great matches. And my two of my favorite guys were, or three of my favorite guys were wrestling on that team. And then they kicked Edge out, and then kind of just got different, but stayed good, and blah blah blah. And here we are today with holding. Rhea Ripley's got the world title. Damian Priest has the tag. Damian Priest and Finn Balor have the tag titles. Damian Priest has Money in the Bank. They have JD with them. They have Dominic Mysterio with them. And now they have R-Truth with them. Not really as an official member, but he's there. He's definitely like he's part of it. Even if he's not in the Judgment Day, he's a part of the story for the most part, and it's very entertaining. And I am a big R-Truth fan. He's just a kind of classic guy. I watch him growing up, and then he's still around today. But I think here's this is more of a conspiracy theory than my last one. The last one I've got evidence for. This one is totally a crack shot conspiracy theory. I think we are shifting the direction of Damian Priest's Money in the Bank cash in. Previously, I was like, because okay, here's the thing. I hate these fake cash in attempts where like he runs up with the briefcase and he's like, I'm cashing in," and the ref is like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you're cashing in?" And then like he just gets hit with a fucking grand piano or something, and he can't cash in, but he keeps the briefcase. Like if you're gonna have someone run in with the briefcase and get the fucking like, you can't have him run in every single week, get the pop, and then not do anything with it just to have for him to get the pop next week and get the pop next week because every time you do it, the pop's gonna get a little less and a little less and a little less. So they stop it now. By the time WrestleMania rolls around, the wound will be healed, the damage will be fixed. But just stop it. Stop doing fake cash-ins. And basically, previously, I was like, oh, I think Damian Priest. Well, Damian Priest definitely does deserve a world title. He's fantastic. And do I think that they will do two failed cash-ins? Because last year Austin Theory failed. He didn't even cash in on a world title. He failed on the U.S. title, which was whack. I would have rather. I mean, it was probably like the best failed cash-in, in my opinion. But failed cash-ins need to happen so that stakes are at play. I guess. Whatever. Do I think to do it 2 years in a row? No. I think doing because if you screw up the cash in 2 years in a row, then Money in the Bank just becomes pointless. I think Damian Priest should and will cash in on the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania, whoever has it. Because right now Seth Rollins might be injured, and CM Punk is winning the Royal Rumble, and who the hell knows what's going on. But at WrestleMania, Damian Priest cashes in and is claiming the World Heavyweight Championship. And where they go from there, at first, I wasn't sure of. But now, I think this whole thing with the Money in the Bank briefcase, with Damian Priest having it and probably cashing in on the World Heavyweight Championship, is leading up to R-Truth getting the world title. That sounds crazy. Saying it out loud sounds bizarre. But once again, at first this R-Truth thing with the Judgment Day seemed like a joke that was going to be for a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, look, it's kind of like Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, where this jokester's trying to join the group. But it's become something very different. number one, which I enjoy. Like it's still the same idea where like this outsider, this goody two shoes guy is trying to get into the evil group and like doesn't really realize that they're bad. It's that same concept, but just done in a different way. And they're doing it good. So there's no reason to complain that it's a rehash, I think. Like if you want to say it's too similar, to each their own. But I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it now. Because at first I was like, this should be like a week thing, a 2 week thing. But now it's been a month or two. Actually, but yeah, it's been about a month and a half of them doing this. And it's like actually building up to a storyline where I'm feeling bad for our truth. And once Judgment Day is going to like fully turn on him, I will be like, damn, that's pretty harsh. Just like what happened to Roman Reigns and Sammy. Like once Sammy finally got broke free from the bloodline, it was like now you have the option for Sami Zayn to go to like because I don't think it makes sense for Damian Priest to feud with Finn Balor. Yeah, they can change that. I hate I'm not a big fan of splitting the Judgment Day up at all, which is why introducing our truth is the caveat to splitting up the Judgment Day, at least a little bit. Because if our truth like gets in and he's a face in a heel faction, by the time Damian Priest wins the world title, then they can all turn on R-Truth, or R-Truth can break away from them, and he can challenge Damian Priest for the world title. And I think he should win it. But at bare minimum, they should at least be a big pay-per-view match. R-Truth versus Damian Priest for the world heavyweight title. That sounds like an insane thing to say. That is a crazy like if you went back a couple months and said that, people would be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And if you say it now, there's still people that are gonna be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But tell me it doesn't sound awesome. It does sound awesome. I know it sounds awesome because it came out of my own mouth. But yeah, I think that this is a little less specific and a little bit more crackpot. But I think Damian Priest cashes in and they build to R-Truth taking that title off him. And hell, you can even retire R-Truth with the title because he's old. No offense, you know. There's that. And just to summarize, my first conspiracy was that Big E will beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title. And my second conspiracy theory is that Damian Priest will successfully cash in at WrestleMania, specifically on the World Heavyweight title, and then feud with R-Truth for that title. And probably lose it. If that happens, I can see R-Truth getting the title off Damian Priest. That's it. Signing off for today. A little bit of a short one. And Gamerback Podcast.